Most people over 65 are told the same thing. Eat less sugar and take your pills. It sounds sensible. It sounds safe. And it is not wrong exactly. But here is what almost nobody tells you. Cutting sugar alone does not protect your legs, your eyes, or your independence from the spike that hits your blood after dinner. Here is the part that gets left out of a rushed appointment. What your blood sugar does in the 2 hours after a meal can quietly damage the small nerves and vessels in your feet and your eyes. And large studies of older adults show those after-meal spikes can track that damage even when the single fasting number your doctor checks once a year still looks fine. Diabetes educators watch this play out every single day. So today, I'm going to give you 5 simple things you can do after dinner, starting tonight, to blunt that spike. No prescription required. And I am going to give you the one habit that most appointments never have the time to explain. The number 1 habit on this list is something almost nobody talks about, and it takes just 10 minutes. Stay with me all the way to the end, because that one habit can change how the next 10 years of your life actually feel. Let me tell you why this gets missed. A typical visit with your doctor now runs about 12 minutes. In that time, they have to review your chart, check your pressure, read your labs, renew your prescriptions, and answer your questions. There is simply no room left to teach you how the timing of a short walk changes what your body does with a plate of food. So you get the headline, watch your sugar, and you go home without the how. That is not a failure of caring. It is a failure of time. Let me be very clear about who I am and who I am not. I am not here to sell you a supplement or scare you into a course. This channel exists to give you the science a 12-minute appointment never has time to cover. There's nothing to buy on this page, and there never will be. And the stakes here are not really about a number on a meter. They are about whether you can still feel the floor under your feet, still rise from a chair without your knees buckling, still walk to the mailbox on your own. That is what steady blood sugar quietly protects. So before we go further, tell me where you are starting from. If you are over 65 or your morning fasting number tends to run above 100, type your age and your city in the comments right now. Now here is the one idea that makes every habit on this list work. Please do not skip this section. It is the key to everything that follows. When you eat, sugar rises in your blood like water rising behind a dam. Normally, a hormone called insulin acts as the gate that lets that sugar move out of the blood and into your cells. But after 65, that gate often gets stiff and slow. Doctors call it insulin resistance. The sugar backs up behind the dam and it stays high for too long. Now here is the part that changes your life. Your muscles have a second gate, a back door for sugar that does not need insulin at all. And that back door only opens when the muscle actually contracts and moves. Think of your working muscles as the drainage channels of that reservoir. Sit still after dinner and the channels stay shut and the water floods. Move those muscles, even gently, and you open the channels and let the flood drain safely away. Every single habit today is just a different way to open that back door. If this is already making sense to you, do one small thing for me. Tap the like button so more seniors your age can find this and get the same explanation. Let us start the countdown at number 5. Number 5 is the order you eat your dinner in, and it costs you absolutely nothing. Put your vegetables and your protein on your fork first and save the bread, the rice, and the potatoes for last. Here is why the order matters so much. When starch hits an empty stomach first, it breaks down into sugar fast and rushes into your blood in one big wave. But when fiber from vegetables and protein from meat, fish, or eggs get there first, they form a kind of soft net across the bottom of your stomach. That net slows how quickly the starch can pass through and turn into sugar. Think of it like traffic merging onto a highway. Let the slow, heavy trucks on first, and everything that follows moves in a calm, orderly line instead of a sudden rush. Researchers at large teaching hospitals have tested this directly. When older adults ate the very same meal but saved the carbohydrates for last, their after-meal blood sugar rose far more gently. So here is exactly how to do it. Spend the first 10 minutes of dinner on your vegetables and your protein only. That means your salad, your green beans, your broccoli, your chicken, or your fish before a single bite of the starchy part. Aim for at least 1 full cup of vegetables and a palm-sized portion of protein first. Then, and only then, eat your rice, your potato, or your slice of bread. The mistake people make is nibbling a warm roll while they wait for the rest of dinner. That first bite of bread on an empty stomach is the exact wave you are trying to prevent. Now, if you wear dentures or chewing tough vegetables is hard, this still works for you. Use soft-cooked vegetables, lentils, or a bowl of vegetable soup as your first course instead. And if you have been told to limit fiber for a specific gut condition, do not force raw vegetables. Talk to your doctor about which soft, gentle fibers are safe for you, and stop if any food causes real discomfort. Pair this with a glass of water before you sit down. The water helps you feel full sooner, so you naturally slow down. And a slower meal gives that protein and fiber net time to set before the starch arrives. But eating in the right order can only do so much while you are sitting perfectly still. Your stomach is working, yet your biggest sugar sponge, your muscles, is switched off. That is exactly what the next habit turns back on, even if you can barely walk at all. That brings us to number 4, seated heel raises right there at the dinner table. This is the habit for anyone who thinks I cannot just go for a walk after dinner. Here is the beautiful part. There is a small, deep muscle in your calf called the soleus, and it is built to keep working for hours without tiring. When you lift your heels up and down while seated, that muscle pumps, and it pulls sugar straight out of your bloodstream, insulin or no insulin. Remember that back door we talked about? Your calf muscle is one of the easiest doors in the whole body to open. It is like running a quiet little pump in your legs that drains the sugar flood while you simply sit and let dinner settle. Researchers who study this seated calf movement have measured its effect on blood sugar directly. In their testing, keeping that soleus muscle gently working lowered the after-meal sugar rise by a striking amount, all from a seated position. Here is exactly how to do it. Sit tall in a sturdy chair with your feet flat on the floor, about hip-width apart. Keeping your toes on the ground, lift both heels as high as they will comfortably go, then lower them back down slowly. Do that at a steady, easy rhythm, about 1 lift every 1 to 2 seconds. Aim for 10 minutes total, and you can break it into 3 easy rounds if that is more comfortable. The error people make is going fast and bouncy. This is a slow, steady pump, not a race. For safety, always do this in a chair with arms or with a table in front of you, so you have something to hold if you feel unsteady. If you have numbness in your feet and cannot feel them well, watch them with your eyes to be sure they stay flat and stable. And if you feel a cramp coming on or any sharp pain in your calf or ankle, stop right away. Sharp pain means stop, not push through. Pair your heel raises with something you already do sitting down, like watching the evening news or talking on the phone. Anchoring a new habit to an old one is how it actually sticks. And doing them while your mind is busy means you will happily go the full 10 minutes without ever watching the clock. Still, a seated pump moves only a modest amount of sugar. To really open the floodgates, you need gravity and your whole body working together, not just your calves. And the simplest way to add both costs nothing and needs no equipment at all, which is exactly where number 3 comes in. Number 3 is the one almost everyone gets backwards. Stay on your feet for the first 30 minutes after dinner and stay off the couch. The habit is simple. When your plate is empty, stand up and keep gently moving instead of sinking into your favorite chair. Here is why the couch is the trap. The moment you recline right after eating, 2 things happen. Your leg muscles switch off so that sugar-draining back door slams shut. And leaning back can let stomach acid drift the wrong way, which is its own problem for many people over 65. Standing and puttering keeps a low, steady demand on the big muscles of your legs and hips. Think of it like leaving a tap open at a trickle. It is not dramatic, but over 30 minutes, that steady trickle carries a surprising amount of the sugar flood away. Studies comparing sitting with light standing activity after meals are consistent on this point. Even gentle upright movement, well short of exercise, meaningfully lowers the after-meal sugar rise compared with sinking straight into a chair. So here is the plan. For the first 30 minutes after you finish eating, give yourself easy upright jobs. Clear the table, rinse the dishes, wipe the counter, put the leftovers away, water a plant. None of it has to be brisk. The target is simply to stay on your feet and lightly moving for about 30 minutes, not sitting and not lying down. The mistake is telling yourself you will rest for just 5 minutes first. Those 5 minutes on the couch are exactly when the back door closes and the spike wins. If standing for 30 minutes is too much, that is completely fine. Do 5 minutes of standing chores, then sit and do your seated heel raises from number 4, then stand and putter again. Keep a sturdy counter or the back of a chair within reach at all times for balance. And if you feel lightheaded when you stand, sit down at once, because dizziness on standing is common after meals, and it is never worth a fall. Pair this habit with cleaning up dinner itself because the timing lines up perfectly. The dishes need doing in exactly the window your blood sugar is climbing. So let the chore be the medicine. Now, movement is the biggest lever you have, but it is not the only one. There is a small kitchen trick that can blunt the spike before before it even begins, working on the food itself rather than on your muscles. It is cheap, it already sits in most pantries, and it is number 2. Number 2 is a splash of ordinary vinegar with your dinner. Apple cider vinegar or plain white vinegar both work. 1 tablespoon stirred into a tall glass of water, sipped alongside the meal. Here is how it works. The acid in vinegar appears to slow the enzymes that break starch down into sugar, and it slows how fast your stomach empties into your intestine. So the very same meal releases its sugar more slowly and gently. Picture a sluice gate on a canal. The vinegar lowers that gate part way, so instead of the whole load of sugar rushing through at once, it passes through in a slow, manageable stream. This one has been studied more than most people realize. Across a number of small clinical trials, a tablespoon of vinegar taken with a starchy meal has consistently produced a lower after-meal blood sugar rise. Here is exactly how to take it safely. Mix 1 tablespoon of vinegar into at least 1 full cup of water, never drink it straight, and sip it during the meal, not after. Do this only with your larger, starchier meals, and once a day is plenty. Use a straw if you can, and rinse your mouth with plain water afterward. The mistake people make is drinking it undiluted, which can wear down tooth enamel and burn the throat. This one needs a real caution. If you have acid reflux, ulcers, or a history of stomach trouble, vinegar can make it worse, so skip it and lean on the other 4 habits instead. And if you have advanced kidney disease or take potassium-affecting medication, check with your doctor first, because large amounts of vinegar can nudge your potassium down. If you take a medication that lowers blood sugar, such as insulin or a sulfonylurea, or you take a water pill or a heart medication like digoxin, talk to your doctor before adding vinegar, because it can add to those effects. And if it ever causes heartburn, nausea, or throat irritation, stop, because no habit is worth that. Pair the vinegar with number 5, your food order. Sip it slowly as you eat that first course of vegetables and protein. Together, the acid and the fiber net make one of the gentlest sugar curves you can get from a normal plate of food. But even the best kitchen trick only shaves the top off the spike. It cannot match what your own body does when you finally put it into motion the right way. And that brings us to number 1, the 10-minute habit this whole video was built around. So here it is, the number 1 habit, the one almost nobody explains to you. A 10-minute walk started within about 30 minutes of finishing your dinner. Not a hard walk, not a fast walk. 10 easy minutes on your feet, and the timing is everything. Let me tell you why this single habit outperforms almost everything else on the list. Remember the dam and the sugar rising behind it after you eat. A walk is the moment you throw open every relief channel at once. When you walk, the large muscles of your legs, your thighs, your hips, and your calves all contract together, and they open that insulin-free back door for sugar as wide as it will go. Those big muscles are the single largest place your body can store and burn the sugar from a meal, and they will pull it straight out of your blood without asking insulin for permission for as long as you keep moving. The timing matters because your blood sugar usually climbs to its highest point roughly 30 to 60 minutes after you eat. If you are walking during that exact window, you catch the wave at its peak and you flatten it. Walk before dinner and you miss it. Walk 2 hours later, and the spike has already done its quiet damage. This is one of the best supported findings in all of blood sugar research. Multiple clinical trials, including studies focused specifically on older adults, have shown that a short walk taken soon after a meal lowers the after-meal blood sugar rise more effectively than one long walk earlier in the day. Diabetes prevention programs now teach this timing directly. Here is exactly how to do it, step by step. When you finish your last real bite of dinner, note the time and plan to be walking within 30 minutes. 10 minutes is the floor, and if you feel good, 12 to 15 minutes is even better. Your pace should be what we call conversational, meaning you could still talk in full sentences, but you would not want to sing. That is roughly 2 to 3 miles an hour for most people. A relaxed stroll, never a march. And you do not need to leave your home. 10 slow laps around your living room, kitchen, and hallway are just as effective as 10 minutes outdoors. Do it every single evening because this is a daily habit, not a once-a-week event. The single biggest mistake is skipping the walk on the nights you eat the most. Those big holiday-style dinners are the exact nights this 10-minute walk matters most. So those are the nights you protect it fiercely. Now let us make this safe for everybody. If your balance is uncertain, walk a loop where you always have a wall, a counter, or sturdy furniture within arm's reach and let your fingertips trail along it. If 10 minutes on your feet is too much at first, start with 3 minutes after dinner and add 1 minute each week. Wear supportive shoes with a back to them. Never lose slippers or socks on a slick floor. If you use a cane or a walker, use it for this walk too, exactly as you normally would. And here are your stop signs. Chest pressure or pain, sudden severe shortness of breath, dizziness, or a cold sweat all mean stop, sit down, and if it does not pass quickly, call for help. A gentle after-dinner walk should feel easy, never alarming. Here is how to stack everything you have learned into one smooth evening. Eat your vegetables and protein first, sip your diluted vinegar as you go, save your starch for last, and then, instead of dropping onto the couch, stand up and take your 10-minute walk. That single sequence blunts the spike at 3 different points: before the meal, during it, and after. It is the difference between fighting your blood sugar and quietly staying ahead of it every single night. And this is the habit I promised could change how the next 10 years feel. Because steady blood sugar, night after night, is what protects the nerves in your feet so you keep your balance, the vessels in your eyes so you keep your sight, and the strength in your legs so you keep your freedom. 10 minutes after dinner is not really about a number on a meter. It is about still being the person who walks into the room on their own 2 feet, 5 and 10 years from now. Let me show you how this comes together in a real life. Consider a typical case documented in the rehabilitation and diabetes education literature. A 74-year-old woman who stands in for thousands like her. Her fasting sugar looked acceptable at every checkup, so everyone kept telling her she was fine. But she was exhausted every evening. Her feet had started to tingle, and she had quietly stopped walking to her friend's house 2 doors down because she no longer felt steady on her feet. Her educator did not change a single one of her medications. Instead, she was taught the exact sequence in this video. She ate her vegetables and her protein first and saved her rice for last. She sipped 1 tablespoon of diluted vinegar with her larger meals. And most of all, she took a 10-minute walk around her own living room within half an hour of finishing dinner every single night, holding the back of the sofa on the turns. She started with just 4 minutes a night and built up to the full 10 over 3 weeks. Within a few weeks, her after-meal sugar readings had come down noticeably, even though her fasting number had barely moved. The evening tiredness lifted first. Then the tingling in her feet stopped getting worse. And by the end of a few months, she was walking to her friend's house again, on her own, which was the number that actually mattered to her. So let us turn all of this into a simple plan you can start with tonight. Here is your checklist, and every step has a number, so nothing is vague. Do the 2 tonight steps first and add the 3 this week steps as they fit. Step 1, tonight. At your very next dinner, eat 1 full cup of vegetables and a palm-sized portion of protein before you touch any starch. That one change tonight is enough to begin. Step 2, tonight, the moment your plate is empty, stand up and take a 10-minute walk. Indoors is perfectly fine, within 30 minutes of that last bite. Step 3, this week, on at least 5 of the next 7 evenings, do your 10-minute after-dinner walk, and on any night you truly cannot walk, do 10 minutes of seated heel raises instead. Step 4, this week, with your 2 largest, starchiest meals, sip 1 tablespoon of vinegar in a full glass of water, but only if you have no reflux or ulcers and your doctor has cleared it. Step 5, this week, for 30 minutes after each dinner, stay off the couch and stay upright, letting the dishes and the tidying be the medicine that keeps you moving. Set a small reminder for 30 minutes after dinner, so the habit runs on a clock and not on willpower. Before you go, think of one person in your life who needs to hear this. Maybe it is a husband or wife who drops onto the couch the second dinner ends. Maybe it is a parent whose feet have started to tingle. Send this to them tonight, because 10 quiet minutes could protect their independence for years. And tell me in the comments which of these 5 habits you are starting tonight. Your answers decide exactly what I cover next on this channel. If this finally gave you the how that your appointments never had time for, subscribe to this channel because that is the whole reason it exists. To hand you the science a 12-minute visit has to skip. Every video here is built to help you stay strong, steady, and independent on your own 2 feet. This video is education, not a diagnosis. Your own doctor knows your history, so bring this list to your next appointment. I'm Bennett Thorne. Don't forget to subscribe and live longer.